Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and in this video we are going to see how to handle the Blazor's unexpected error. So which error? I have this simple Blazor application. On this counter page, if I click on this click me, I have enabled one error. I manually introduced one error here. I am trying to add toString on an label field. So this is a runtime error. So we see this an unhandled exception occurred. If I zoom it, you should be able to see it. An unhandled error has occurred and reload. So you have seen this a lot when you are developing and when you see. So this belongs to all the Blazor applications. Whenever there is any error, after this things does not work as expected, we just need to reload it and then it goes away. But what if we want to handle this error? We don't want this ugly UI component here like this, and we want to somehow handle it, show some customized UI for this, and recover from that error so that application does not break. Okay, so for this thing we are going to see how to do all of these things in Blazor. So here I am in Visual Studios. I have created this project using Blazor WebAssembly standalone app. This is named Blazor Error Boundary. So this will apply to all types of Blazor applications: Blazor standalone WebAssembly, Blazor server, Blazor interactive auto, interactive WebAssembly, interactive server for all. All right. So this is just the default template. I have not done any change inside this. So let's go to counter page. Here we have this default template. We have one current count. We have one button. Click me, and when we click on this button, it calls this increment count method, and this increment count method simply increments the value of this current count private field, and we re-render the component so it shows the latest or new count. All right. Now on this thing, I'm going to add something, or let's first see if how this is looking, then I'll add something to it. Okay, it is here. If I go to count, if I press click, so you see current count is getting incremented and we are good, it is working. Now let's say I am adding HR here, then I am adding two p tags here. Okay, in first one I want to show the previous, let's say, count digit length, previous count, let's say, number of digits. I just want to introduce some runtime exception. Let's copy this, and the second one, second p, it will be current count number of digits. All right, so here I'm going to have two piece of state, so private int, and here I'll say previous count number of digits, and I'm going to have one more which will be current count number of digits. Current count number of digits. All right, private int. All right, now inside this increment count, right before this one, this increment count, before we are incrementing the count, I'll simply set this previous count number of digits to current count dot toString dot length, so that we know number of digits. Then after doing this, we'll say current count number of digits. It will again be the same line, but it will have the updated value because right before this we have incremented the count. All right, if I save it and if I run it, there should not be any error. It should work. Initially both of these should be 0. So we are here, this is getting incremented, but we cannot see anything here. why can't we see? Oh, because we are not displaying this, my bad. So here I'll display previous, here I'll display current, save everything, rerun. So because these are two class level variables, default value will be 0 for both of them. Count 0 0. If I press click me, these are 1. Now till 9 it will be same, and as soon as I hit this again, let me zoom it. If I click it again, this is going to be 10. Number of digits are going to be 2. So previous count would be same 1, but this current count number of digits, it should be 2. So if I press this, you see this is 10, and now this is 1 and this is 2. Now if I press it again, then both of these will be 2. So which is expected? Now it will be same till 99, and after 99 if I press this click me, it goes to 100. Then this will be 2 only, and this will be 3, and then it will repeat till 999 999. So this is the thing. Now let's introduce some errors. So I am going to initialize or change this current count to nullable. Alright, now this is nullable. On this current count, I'll say current count dot value dot toString, and here I'm incrementing this current count. So maybe before this we can simply check if current count is null. We'll simply initialize it with 0, and then the next further code would be same. Alright, now let's run it. It's here. If I go to counter, we are good. Now if we press click me, you see there is this error. So let me move it a bit. This error, right? We see this error a lot in Blazor applications. An unhandled error has occurred, and then we had this reload button. If we press this reload button, it simply reloads the application, right? So this is not very good UX. So we should show something else, and we should handle this error so that it should not break. If I do this now, if I press click me again, I'm going to have the same thing here. If I keep pressing around here and there, this is somehow working right now, but for most of the cases, after there is some error, it does not work at all, right? Mostly for server application, it does not work. Okay, so what is the way by which we can handle this error? Whenever this error occurred, so we can have our own handling mechanism for this error. Maybe we should want to display some custom error message, we want to display some alert message, or we want to display some custom HTML somewhere on the page. All right, so for this, Blazor gives us one special component, and that component is called error boundary. Okay, so how that error boundary component works, we can have that error boundary anywhere in our code. So for example, let's say I'm going to have that I mostly have error boundary on mostly my layout, because that will wrap everything. But it's up to you how error boundary works. It simply handles the error inside its child content. So for example, on this layout page, what I'll do, I'll simply wrap everything inside this error boundary component. Now it will handle everything inside this layout. Okay, I could have it in here also for the body only, or rest of the thing will be same. This is also a valid case. We can have it like this. Okay, so if we are okay that, and we are sure that there cannot be any error outside of this thing, maybe this nav menu, there can't be any error, then we are good. We can have it like this also. But in most of my cases, I wrap everything inside the layout in this error boundary. Now in this error boundary, this is the default child content, but we'll wrap it inside a child content. And then for this error boundary, we have one more render fragment, and that is called error content. Okay, so this is the error content. Whenever there is any error in this error boundary, this error content is going to be painted on the UI on this page. So here let's do this. I'm going to have a div class, let's say display grid, and in here I'm going to add a CSS. So I'll say place content center, so everything moves to center. And here I'll simply say, let's say maybe h3 with class text danger, and here I'll say something went wrong. Save it and let's run it. We'll fix some of the things here. We'll fix this second. Right now I'm just showing you if that thing is working. If I place this, you see something went wrong, we have this thing. So this is error content. Now that short blue color errors content is not there, we have our own custom error message. Now here the way of handling could be different as per your use case. So let's say you want to display some alert message whenever this something happens here in the app. If there is some error, you want to display some display some alert. So for that, what we can do, let's create a new component, and here I'll simply create a folder. I'll say components, or maybe we can have it inside the layout only. Here we'll say, let's say error boundary alert component. The name is up to you, and I'm going to make it as a razor component. I'm not going to have any UI here. I'm going to inject IJS runtime. Let's call it JS runtime. And in here, we will override its own initialized async or on initialized method. And here we can say await JS runtime dot invoke void async. And here we can call the JavaScript's alert method. And here we can simply show some error, something went wrong. If we do this, and now in main layout inside this error content, I'm going to comment this out for your reference. Here we can simply render this component, which is error boundary alert component. Save it. Let's try it out if this alert, this JavaScript alert comes up whenever there is error. Okay, application is here, count. If we press click me, you see something went wrong and we have this alert message. Okay, and on pressing of OK, everything goes away. We need to handle this case also, but if we again refresh the page, it should work. Current count, click me, and we can see this alert message. That means this thing is working. First we should fix this thing, that on pressing of OK, the screen goes blank, there is nothing on the screen. That is because how this error boundary works. Right now we have some error, and when we display this error, when we press OK, after that we are not handling that error. We are handling error from a UI UX perspective, we know, but this error boundary component, it does not know that we have handled that error. Okay, so for this we need to tell it that we have handled the error, you can recover from it. So what the point here is, we need to reset it, this error boundary. Okay, so for this what we can have, we are going to have a code block here. Okay, and in this code block we can have a ref here of type error boundary, which is going to be nullable. Let's call it error boundary only. And now on this error boundary, we are going to set @ref equals this underscore error boundary. Now we have access to this error boundary. Now when we want to handle this error, we can create a method here, private void, I'll say reset error boundary, reset error boundary. All right, and inside this what we can do, we are going to have only one liner. Here we'll say error boundary dot, it has one method which is recover. So now we are telling that you should recover from this. Now there is one point here, we need to call this method when we are pressing OK on that alert message. That means from this component, when we are clicking the OK button, then we should do something, we should trigger something which can be handled in main layout and which can call this. So for this, we can simply emit some event. All right. So on this error boundary alert component, we are going to have a prop of type event callback. Okay. Here we'll say on handle. And this is going to parameter, and we are going to make it editor required, because this is required this function to work as we are expecting. Okay. So after showing this alert, when we press OK, then it will come here, and after this we can say await on handle dot invoke async. Now we are raising this event. So on our main layout, where we have this thing, here we can simply say on handle, and we can call this reset error boundary method here. Now let's quickly try it out. If I run it, it is coming. Let's go to counter, click me, we have alert message. If we press OK, we are good, right? We can move around, everything is fine, this page is here. So that means that resetting error boundary, that is working, and we can see this thing. Alright, so everything looks good, but there is one point here. What if we want to show the actual error, right? Right now this is some generic error, something went wrong. What if we want to display some actual error information? Okay, so let's quickly do this. So in this component, we need to have that error what was raised from this error boundary. So for this, what we can do, we can have a parameter here of type exception. We'll say error or exception, the name is up to us. It should be parameter and editor required, because this will be required. All right. Now instead of saying something went wrong, this generic message, I'm going to comment this out. Here I would say something went wrong, and after that we can show the error information. So that can be error dot message. All right, let's have some default value for this so that it does not break. Error dot message, and now we are good. Now we just need to pass this error. Now here how can we have access to that error? So for this, on error boundary, we have access to one special parameter, which is context, and we can name this context. So here we say, let's say ex, which is exception. So now this ex, this exception, error boundary will provide this for us, and we can pass this to this error boundary alert component. Here we are going to say error equals ex. Save it, and let's quickly try it out if this is working. So I'm running it. Counter, click me. Something went wrong. After that we have this message, nullable object must have a value, which is actual error message. Cool. I'll press OK. We are good. So it will display the actual error message here, and now we are good with this. So this was if we want to display JavaScript alert. What if we want to have some HTML content, some HTML UI to show this error? All right, so let's do this now. I'm going to comment this out again. Now I'm going to create one more component, which I'll call, let's say, error boundary content dot razor. All right, on this also we need both of these parameters, error and on handle. Let's have these error and on handle, and in the main layout, let's call that. So for this, I'm going to copy this error boundary alert component, and I'm going to change this to error boundary content, and on handle it will call the same method, and error we will pass the same exception message to this one. All right, now let's go to this component. Here I want to display this error. So what I want to do, I want to display some error UI in center of the screen. Okay, so for this what I'll do, first thing I'll have some let's say overlay, or maybe we can directly have, let's say, div class. I'm going to have a card here. Inside this I'm going to have card header. All these classes are coming from Bootstrap. You can design it however you want, whatever you need in your UI, you can have that here. Card header, for this card header I'll say bg danger to make it red, and text white to make the text content white. Here I'm going to have, let's say, h5 with class m0. I don't need any margin here. And here I'll say, let's say, unexpected error. After that I'm going to have div class card body to show the error here. So here I'll have one p where I'll say, let's say, oops, something went wrong, something like this. Or we can say unexpected error occurred. Unexpected error occurred. And then after this we can display the error content here. So I'm using a pre component here. This is HTML, pure HTML. So on this I'm going to have some classes. So I'll say bg secondary, and I'll say, no, text black is fine, we'll say p3, and here we'll display our error dot message. And then I'm going to have a button here. So div class in card footer, I am going to have a button of type button, class btn secondary. Okay, and here I'm going to add on click, and when we on click this button, then we should call this on handle, that we have handled the error. Now you can remove this thing. All right, so save everything. Now right now this card, this will be shown directly at some specific place. What we need this thing to be in the center of the screen. Okay, so for this what I am going to do, let's say I'm going to have one more class on this, or maybe let's do this, let's wrap everything, this card, inside a div. So div class, let's say, error content. All right, and on this error content I'm going to display it as grid, and I'm going to add a style. I'll say place content center to move it to the center, horizontally, vertically, both. And on this error content let's have some styling, some CSS. I'm going to have it here only. You can move it to a scoped CSS class if you want. So I'll say style type text/CSS, and here I'll have this error content. And for this, first thing I'll say position fixed, then left 0, right 0. I want to span it to the entire screen. Left 0, right 0, bottom 0, top 0, and I think I have positions spelling mistake. So position fixed, top, right, left, bottom, everything is fine. And let's say background, we'll say background transparent, so that we can see the back of this, transparent. Save everything. Let's try to run it now, and let's see if we can see this error message inside this card. Counter, click me, and we have this card. It is not in the center. We'll see why this is not in the center, but we can see this thing. If I check the HTML, There could be multiple ways to design it, but let's see. Error content, right, we have right spelling mistake. So right now this is in the center of the screen, but we cannot see anything behind this. And this thing, this is a bit darker, it should have been some lighter tone. So actual zoom is this, so it will look like this. Let's fix this style. So first we'll say right, rigst, right 0, and on this pre-class where we have this bg secondary, here I'm going to add style, and I'll change one bootstrap variable bs bg opacity, which is for background opacity. Bs stands for bootstrap, so here we'll say 0.25 to make the color of that background color to some faded grayish color. Run it, and it is here, counter, click me, and we have this error. Alright, if we press OK, now we are coming back because we handled that error. But if we have that error right away, right now we can't see anything. The background is white. That's because, let's move this OK button to the right. So for this, what we can do, on this card footer, we can maybe have display flex. And on this button, we can say MS auto, which is margin start auto, so that this button moves to the right side. It is here, counter, click me, okay, this is working fine. Now when we have this open, we should have that background, the actual page content here, but that is not here. So for that, what we can do right now, what is happening when we are in main layout, in error content we are displaying just this content. When we are in error content, this child content is not getting displayed. So what we can do, we can simply copy this child content and place it inside error content as well. Now if we save it, if we run it, we should see this background content when we are opening that error. You see, we have this thing. Now we should have some overlay if we want, and if not, we can have some let's say shadow on this section, this thing. So for this, if we go here, error content, here if we say shadow LG, shadow large, did something happen? Shadow LG, but the color of the shadow is not okay. Let's have some overlay between behind this. So what we'll do, we'll go to error content here only. I'm going to have one more class, so div class, let's say overlay, or let's say error overlay, and I'm going to add some styling to this error overlay. So first thing, I need it to the same position fixed, left, right, top, bottom 0. Okay, then I need to have some background on this. So background, let's say black background. Now I want it to be transparent, so I'll say opacity on this, let's say 0.25 only. All right, so save everything. And now the one thing, we should have some Z indexing to handle all this. So on the overlay, I'm having a Z index. So mostly we are using Bootstrap, which uses 1049, so 1000 range of Z index. So for this, we might have some other third-party library, third-party kind of things. Maybe we have some modal pop-up, we have some alert toast notification somewhere. So we should have this error overlay on top of everything. So let's have this in 5000 range. It's up to you how you design it. So for this one, error overlay, we'll have Z index 5k, 5000. And for error content, we are going to have Z index 5001. So it comes on top of this error overlay. Save everything. Let's run it. And now content counter, and you see this looks fine now. Okay, click me. Okay, it is fine. So this is how we can handle the errors. Now it will come instead of that ugly line on the bottom. which is default, we have this thing which will display the actual error. You can tweak it around, you can design it as per your need, you can handle the errors and all those stuff. Now for this I modify one more thing, that is right now if we go to main layout, we are repeating this content, this child content, right? So for this what we can do, we can have one more component inside this layout folder. Here we'll say, let's say main layout content dot tracer. Okay, so this is main layouts content. So we can copy this thing, move it to this main layout content. Okay, and this body, this is going to be the, because this does not exist in normal components, this exists in layout only, so we can get it from its parent. So for this what we'll do, we'll simply have a parameter where we'll say render fragment, and this is going to be child content, which is default. And on this we'll say this is a parameter, this is editor required, because without this this is not going to function. And then here we will have this child content. So save everything, and now we are good. We can use this main layout content component inside our main layout. Okay, so here in this main child content, we are going to have main layout content, and inside this we need to pass our body. Same thing, we'll simply copy it, we'll come here and we'll add it here in the error content. Save it, and now we should be good. Let's try to see if everything still looks and behaves same. It is here, Blazor error boundary, it is not behaving same. There is some problem with this. Main layout content, inner error content. Let's move this error boundary component to inside this body only, say as this main layout content. Let's run it. And we still not have this. Something is not right. Did we miss something? Did we miss something? Let's see. Oh, this doesn't. Okay, the thing is, the styling for that was in main layout.razor.css. Yeah, that's the problem. Now we moved complete HTML to this main layout content, so now it is not behaving same UI wise. So what we can do, we can simply copy this, we can create a file here for this CSS. So we'll say main layout content.razor.css, and we can move all the CSS from this main layout to this main layout.razor.component. Save everything. On main layout we don't have any direct HTML. All right, we are good. So we can have it here, or inside this it does not make any difference because we are having it as position fixed, so it will be always at the same place. Let's run it and let's see if this works now. We are here, still not working. We need to hard refresh it to make those CSS changes, and now we are good. We can go to weather, we can go to home, we can go to counter, and on counter if we press click me, there is error. If we press OK, we are good, right? So everything is still same. Now we have not duplicated the content, everything is good. All right, so this is how we can gracefully handle errors and react to those errors on the Blazor whenever there is any unexpected error. If you want to display, I showed you these three things. You can display alert, you can display some direct content, or you can have a separate component and you can have it like this, the modal pop-up error message kind of thing. All right, so that's all for this video. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe my channel. I'll be back soon with some other cool video. Till then, bye bye, happy coding.